Hello, Joss here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a lesson I did where I did stall training for the first time. So what you can see just now is Lee and I sat in the plane on the apron getting ready to go. Now at this stage of my training I've got a few lessons under my belt and I'm now being given more responsibilities as a student. For example, here I'm the one performing the pre-flight checks and engine start. Also, once we get moving, I'm now in control when taxiing the aircraft on the ground. Now I can't quite remember, but I think Lee was still doing most of the radio communication, and for this lesson in particular, he was in control during the takeoff and the landing due to there being quite a nasty crosswind.
Radio is it's off. Yep. Instruments and gauges checked and damage eligible secure. Limits. Altimeter check and set is required. What's the pressure?
1028.
It's reading slightly below for us, but
yep.
1028 sets. Flying controls full and free movement. So down. I'm hearing twanging.
That's just the swings and the controls.
Gosh, is that normal? Right, full free movement. So trimmer I've set to full range of movement. Oops. Let's push it forward. That's good. So back to neutral. Flaps, checking stages of symmetry, so go up first. So up.
Symmetrical.
One, two, yep.
Set back up.
Yep. Cabin air controls, closed. Off your closed up a bit. Alternate static source is point left, so that's off. Carb heat, full and free movement. Yep, set off. Throttle, full and free movement. Set half open, so about there.
Yep.
Throttle friction, set loose. So it's quite loose there. Mixture, full and free movement. Yep, set rich. Circuit breakers and fuses in position and secure.
All in?
All good. Master switch on. Annunciator light on. Turn coordinator flag away, yep. Fuel on least full tank.
Yep, exactly the same.
Okay. Fuel pump on, check pressure then off, so on.
Pressure's low.
Yep. And off. Primer's required and then lock.
So probably 4 or 5 for the prime.
I can never. Was it you find the notch and then was it rotate again?
Depends which way you've done it. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I will learn it eventually. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go for 5 just to be safe.
There we go.
Locked. Look out. Come around. Share clear pop.
Clear my side.
Clear pop. Magnetos key in. Activate starter. The keys in. Lay down the brakes.
Need to do it there, couple.
Yeah.
God, no, I can't do it. Oh my lord.
Once we got settled up in the air over the Black Isle, Lee began taking me through the steps involved in preparing to stall the aircraft. We began with doing hazel checks, which are done to make sure that the aircraft is in good condition before deliberately practicing any intensive manoeuvres such as a stall. So hazel is a mnemonic that pilots often use to check certain items. These are the height. Are we high enough to perform the manoeuvre, recover from it, and have plenty of margin for safety? For this lesson we were operating at 3,500 feet with a view to recover before 3,000 feet. A is for airframe. Is it in good condition? For example, are there any obvious signs of damage or contamination such as ice on the wings? S is for security. Are the doors still securely closed and locked? Are the harnesses secured and nice and snug? Are there any loose items which need to be stowed? E is for engine. Is the engine in good health and in a suitable configuration? For example, is the carb heat set correctly, or do we need to put the fuel pump on? L is for location. Are we in a suitable location away from built-up areas, airports, or any areas of controlled airspace? The second L is for lookout. We need to look out and make sure there are no other aircraft nearby. Once those checks have been satisfied, then we can proceed into the stall manoeuvre. This is done by reducing the throttle and slowly pulling back to maintain altitude until the plane slows down into a stall. Watch this demonstration by Lee. You'll hear the stall warner begin to sound, and then after a few seconds you'll hear a buffeting sound. It sounds a lot like a metal shed being hit by strong winds. Then shortly after that you'll see the plane stall where the nose drops suddenly. Then it was my time to take the controls and have a go myself. And it didn't quite go as well. Take a look at this. So you probably heard me panic a little bit during the stall there, so let's watch that back again in slow motion, and if you'll indulge me, I'd like to talk a little bit about that experience. Now, I've experienced stalls before, however, during each of those times I have been with an experienced instructor who was demonstrating how it worked. I've never actually performed a stall myself until this day. And this was quite a jarring experience for me, and after giving it some thought, there were a couple of factors which fed into that feeling. Firstly was the reputation of this aircraft, the Piper Tomahawk. Some pilots often refer to it as the Trauma Hawk or the Terror Hawk. When Piper began to design this aircraft, they approached many flight instructors and asked them, "What features do you want in a little two-seat training aircraft?" One of the common requests was that they wanted an aircraft that was easy to spin compared to other small training aircraft such as a Cessna 152. And so Piper incorporated that into the design of the Tomahawk. It's an easy aircraft to spin. It's too easy to spin. And you don't have to look hard through the history books to find that a lot of Tomahawks have been involved in accidents where inexperienced pilots accidentally got the aircraft into a spin. This is why the Tomahawk has a reputation which precedes it. So in a moment, when we get to the stall, you'll notice that the left wing drops as the aircraft stalls. This is a common handling characteristic of the Tomahawk due to its design. That wing drop also feeds into the second major factor for me, which is the dramatic change in the attitude of the aircraft. If you've been following this series of videos, you would have heard me talk about the datum attitude previously. As a student, all of your flying up to this point in the training has been relatively gentle and simple. In all of your lessons up to this point, you always have the horizon out in front of you, and you can refer to it as you climb, descend and do turns, so you can see the horizon and you can understand what's going on. During the stall in the Tommy, the normal drop of the nose, combined with one wing dropping, leads to a drastically different view. If I freeze the video here, look, no horizon at all. The plane is in a very unusual attitude for an inexperienced pilot. So that sudden change in view, plus the feeling of falling in the pit of your stomach, all of that led to quite a harrowing first stall for me. Now, as you heard in the video, Lee was very calm, very cool. Now, me personally, my confidence definitely took a hit in that moment, but it was a very powerful and humbling experience, which certainly made me appreciate the dangers of flying and the preparations and precautions I need to take as a pilot. Regardless, we managed to do a couple more stalls and then we made our way back to Inverness. Now, rather excitingly, we got to try something different. Because the wind was blowing right across the main runway, we actually requested and got clearance to land on the shorter runway at Inverness, and I was at the controls for this one. So follow along as I attempt my one and only landing on runway 11 at Inverness. So that wraps up this video about stalling. Now in my next PPL vlog I'm going to be staying on the ground and talk about some of the first few theory exams that I did, so I'll have a video up about that sooner rather than later. So until the next time, thank you all very much for watching, take care out there and I will catch you all later.